Hello and welcome to Record Sport Facebook Live. My name is Daniel Cott and I'm delighted to be joined by Record Sports Ross Pilcher and all the way from Sydney, Bondi Beach, none other than Record Sports Michael Gannon. Guys, how are you?
Daniel?
Not bad, guys. Good morning, I think.
Mike, we'll maybe start with yourself. How's things at your end? Good?
It's good, yeah. It's an incredible place, Sydney. It's been a bit of a whirlwind few days so far. We had a game over here, which was last night for me, which would be, I guess, be first thing in the morning for you guys. So it's the morning after the night before, or the night after the morning before, how you want to look at it.
And obviously, I think it's worth asking at this early outset, who is it you need to soak up to in the Record office to get all these gigs, Mick? I mean, is there anyone in particular? Or?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is hard graft. Honestly, this is not the as nice as it looks. I mean, obviously we're sitting here in the sunshine at 8 o'clock in the morning, but it's a serious shoveling shift. This, so this is not a jolly. I'll tell you.
We'll get to. Well, let's get to the football then. So obviously on Thursday morning UK time, Celtic against Sydney FC. I think a lot of people obviously thought that Celtic would, I don't know if canter's the expression, but would win comfortably. But it definitely didn't turn out that way, Mick.
Well, as someone who's just done the journey at the same time as the Celtic squad, I didn't think it'd be a canter because it's seriously demanding physically, mentally, and emotionally to come this far. So I'm not surprised they weren't quite at the pace because it's a 24-hour trek to get here. On Tuesday they got here, and Sydney a good wee side. Listen, it was a friendly match. It was one of those kind of wide open games. I thought it was actually really entertaining for a friendly. I thought it was great. I didn't think Celtic were that bad. I know that Ange Postecoglou kind of let rip after the game. He didn't hold back with his squad, but I didn't think they were that bad. I mean, defensively a bit wilder and wacky. A lot of changes in the team. What I would say is that I think it's clear a couple of guys that got a chance last night who maybe didn't quite grab it, and I think the manager kind of let that be known as well, that he expects a wee bit more. I would be more kind of sympathetic in terms of the travelling for these guys and the adjustment to the time difference and all that stuff, and give the benefit of the doubt. And it's a friendly match after a grueling period back home, so I wouldn't be too critical of them. But yeah, it wasn't the best. It was a bit of a wild friendly, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And Ross, Mick touches on there. We ran the story on Record Sport online about Ange Postecoglou losing his rag a wee bit, and not that we needed any clues, but absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be on his wrong side. You can think of a few managers that once they get going, you don't want to be getting the hairdryer treatment. I suppose you can understand from his point of view. This is a big deal for him. He's taking his team back home. He wants them to see, the stamp that he's put in Celtic, and he wants to put on a show for, but it looks at Mickle, obviously no better, but it looked like there was a decent number of Celtic fans, and I imagine vast majority of expats and whatnot out there, but there's, a decent crowd, and he would have wanted to, put on a show to impress, and, as Mick said, a couple of not really grabbing the opportunity. That's probably annoyed him as well, and he's maybe thinking ahead to January, thinking, well, if they're not going to put on a show there, they're not going to do what I want them to do at this sort of level, then I might as well be moving some of these guys out and see who we can bring in. So it's as much as it'll tick a lot of boxes commercially and that sort of thing for Celtic marketing purposes. You saw the big build up it got. That's maybe played in it as well. Celtic weren't shy in promoting this as the Ange homecoming tour and whatnot, and obviously with Rangers pulling out to kick it off a loss wasn't ideal. But as Mick said, there'll be more pressing matters for Celtic, I suppose, once Ange calms down a wee bit.
I think you're right, Ross. That aspect of it, Ange coming here with his team and showing them off and all that stuff. I was talking to one fan last night after the game. He said it's a bit like taking your new girlfriend to a wedding, a family wedding, and she gets hammered. Makes her fool of herself. I said, Ange is ready to show off his new partner. And the high heels are snapped, the makeup smeared, and all that stuff. That's how it felt for him a bit last night. I thought it was a great analogy.
Just on that, what's the atmosphere been like around the Celtic team out there? Has there been a lot of interest?
Listen, it's actually been pretty huge. They've done loads of events. I mean, that's another thing. They've done lots of stuff. They had a kind of welcoming party down at the harbour on Tuesday, I think, which actually went a bit awry because we're sitting the setting, the harbour bridge behind one side, the Opera House on the other side. It was all spectacular, and then the sky turned black and it erupted, the thunder and lightning. and then hailstones. So everyone had to make a dash back onto the team coach. But they also had a kind of an open training session. 1,000 folk turned up to it, which is pretty good going. And they stayed for ages, signing autographs, taking selfies and all that stuff. It was really quite impressive, actually. They've done Q&As around the city and all that stuff, and meet and greet with fans. They've really been busy, and you can see there's lots of Celtic fans in the city all week, shirts everywhere. And you bump into them, and there's guys from Scotland that have made the journey. Fans from Scotland have came for this trip, but also a lot from the Sydney area, and lots from all over Australia. We bump into guys from. There's a guy I bumped into in the hotel, and he says, "I've came all the way from Perth," and I said, "How was M90?" He said, "No, Perth in Australia." I thought, fair enough. And last night there's a bus that left Perth, and apparently it didn't leave last night, but it drove all the way from Perth to here. I think it's about 28 hours in a bus. It's like I think it's like driving from Glasgow to Benidorm on a bus for the game alone. So they've really kind of got behind it. I don't think they're that upset with the result last night. I mean, they seem to enjoy themselves. I heard about a sing-song when Kyogo was dancing with fans after the game and all that stuff. This has been a major kind of PR, kind of marketing kind of move as well coming out here. Commercially, it's important to kind of like keep up links with the expat community out here. The manager's obviously very marketable out here. I think it's been a big success in that way. And I say the result aside, I don't think it will matter in the grand scheme of things. I think they've done enough to kind of shake the right hands and impress the right people to make this a worthwhile trip.
And Ross, just on what Mick's saying there, can you imagine Celtic and Rangers were playing out there this week? Can you imagine the scenes? It would just been remarkable.
Remarkable is all word. Could have been carnage. I imagine Police Australia would have been stopping the buses from Perth to check for what was a bucky and whatnot. I don't know if that's a global approach, but yeah, it would be massive, as you say. But obviously not to be after Rangers. You know, I was going to say take the huff, but diplomatically they weren't too happy with the arrangements for this one, so they pulled out. But
you can understand why.
Yeah, it does kind of hammer home the global interest in Celtic and Rangers as well, and two at the same time, it would have been incredible.
And Mick, just on going back to the football for a moment, you mentioned some of the players that maybe didn't take their chance in the game. I thought when Vata came on, I was excited to see him play. I thought Law. I mean, obviously I'm only watching it on the telly, but he just looks like such a big boy. One of the narratives around Celtic over the last kind of 12 months has been the need for this kind of big physical holding midfielder. I know he played defence last night, but could he maybe be that guy down the line?
Quite possibly. Listen, there's a lot of people talk very highly of him. I thought he did look good, quite good when he came on last night. I thought Rocco Vata was really lively.
Mm-hmm.
Thought he did look decent as well. I think why not? Listen, if he wants to play that kind of central midfield role, and that kind of a big strong midfielder, the chance is there, because I don't think the two guys that maybe in front of him last night, they got a chance, didn't really impress. I mean, Yusuke Ideguchi, I mean, he's been rotten luck since joining Celtic. He's injured in his first second game. He's back in pre-season, gets injured again. We're now into November, heading into December. He's not really made any impact. Last night wasn't that taken by him. Interesting one is Oliver Abildgaard as well. Abildgaard got a chance last night. He looked really keen to make an impression, but he looked a wee bit too keen to make an impression, and it meant that he was guilty of kind of going walkabout, so to speak, in this neck of the woods. And I think he was at fault for the first. Well, he's partially at fault for the goal in the first half. There was a few chances down that he kind of indirectly or directly kind of caused against Celtic. I thought he looked a wee bit off it again. And at some point, he's going to need to be ready to go. When he signed in the summer, I know he'd missed pre-season and he's playing catch-up, but we're now, as I say, we're into November, heading into December. If you're him, I think you think, forget about going on holiday this next few weeks, get the head down, get up to speed, because he's only on loan for the season. I understand there is some kind of mechanisms that potentially could turn it into a full-time move next summer, but at the moment that's not going to be happening. So his time is ticking on for him now. When you look at him, he's absolutely massive. I mean, he's huge for a midfield player. Strong, and it looks like in a tin. It looks like he'd be an ideal kind of guy to have in there, but it's not happened for him yet. He's not really shown he's going to be a big part of that squad yet. So he's one he should be spending the next few weeks really trying to get himself up to speed to make a push when they get back.
One of the other talking points from the game that was trending on social media, I'll maybe come to you to start with this one, Ross, was that it was about Sydney FC and where they would rank in the Scottish Premiership. I know it's really hard to tell, it's a one-off friendly, but there was a lot of people suggesting that if they played in the Scottish Premiership, they'd be challenging to win it. I mean, is that... I think it's really hard to tell in these one-off games, but it looked like a good outfit.
Yeah, look decent. You know, as Mick said, Celtic have had to travel halfway across the world to play this game. Sydney, it's in their own backyard. Challenging to win the Premiership, I'm not sure you're sure about that. I think if you look at, the A-League is, a wider league. Look at the players that have come from Scotland, and Jason Cummins is tearing it up there. All right, started well at Hibs, couldn't really get a kick at Rangers, didn't do much at Dundee. Jamie McLaren's one of the, obviously he's with the Socceroos along with the rest of the Hearts lads and Martin Boyle. It was all right for Hibs, again, one of the leading players there. I think when you look at the guys who are their leading lights and how they did in Scotland, there's probably, I mean, not in every case, but it's probably more of an indication of where they're at. Would they be about maybe mid-table Premiership? Possibly, but challenging to win it, I'm not so sure.
I guess what I'm getting at, Mick, do you think Ange will be embarrassed to lose this game?
I don't think so. I know I'm joking about the kind of drunk partner at the wedding and all that stuff. I wouldn't have thought so. It shouldn't be because I mean it's a friendly game. It's a kind of after it's been a pretty grueling period for Celtic back home as well. Right. So I don't think there should be any embarrassment about it. I mean, Sydney are a good side. I mean, I'm not sure about competing to win the league in Scotland, but I think they're probably top six. And you only need to look at the guys from Australia who came to Scotland and did pretty well. They played at that level. When Sydney are kind of mid-table in the A-League this season, they've been kind of toiling a wee bit. So they haven't been that great. I was talking to people who were at the game. They played Western at the weekend in a derby. And I think I was told that the quality wasn't great. It was a bit hear 'em, scare 'em. So I think they'd probably be comfortably top six in Scotland. They've got a great setup, great new stadium. That's the first win at the new stadium last night as well. They'd been really motivated to play quite well last night as well. I mean, it's for us a friendly. They'd been really wound up. But at Celtic, I don't know. And you put yourself in the shoes of the Celtic players who have had a really busy run, dealing with injuries, getting results, 9 points ahead. In 24 hours on the plane, and you're asked to do it again. I think it's just going to the well, maybe one time too many. I think it might be different Sunday when they play against Everton, because there is that wee bit of added edge. We're talking to Joe Hart the other day and a bit up against his old pal Frank Lampard and all that stuff, and I think there is a wee bit more edge to it. So and they've got another couple of days to get themselves acclimatised, so that might be a bit different. But I don't think any embarrassment is required. I mean, if they get a doing against Everton, that might be a bit of a sore one. But Everton on the same boat as Celtic as well. They're coming here. We didn't see them yesterday. They were on Bondi Beach doing a kind of workout. And to talk to you guys, they were struggling as well a wee bit. They only arrived yesterday morning, and they were a bit upside down as well. So it's different challenges and different things taken into account.
So let's come to the Everton game then. So it's Friday morning where you are right now. I think the Everton game is on Sunday afternoon?
Sunday afternoon, which will be through the night for you guys back home. I think it's about
3:45 in the morning, I think.
4:45 in the morning, so early rise if folk want to watch it. It's a good game.
It will be a good game, but do you think, I don't know how to put that, is there more at stake for Celtic given the England-Scotland rivalry? They want to get a good result in that game. Obviously, I think Andrew will more full spin.
There's nothing at stake. It's a bounce game in Australia during the World Cup.
Sell it here, Mick. I'm trying to sell it.
Well, listen, it's great. I think these games are going to be good fun. But I wouldn't be putting anything at stake. I mean, I think through the years, Celtic in these friendlies against English teams have put in a bit more to them than some of the English sides. You think some of the classic kind of friendlies through the years. Talked to Chris Sutton about the famous Man United one when they won 4-3 when he slapped David Beckham. So that was a kind of high benchmark for friendly matches, wasn't it? Whether they get that, who knows? I would doubt it. But I think there will be an added edge to a few guys because of that aspect. But I wouldn't be putting too much stock. I wouldn't be, if Celtic don't get a result, I wouldn't be dragging folk off to the stocks.
I mean, I'll put my neck in the line, guys, right? Ross, in fact, you can tell me what you think of this. I think if Celtic go full strength, really go for it on Sunday, a bit more acclimatised, a few more days to rest, I think they could really give Everton a going over. Everton, at their best, are pretty poor this season. They've left 6 or 7 players behind. Am I being a bit too ambitious?
Probably. As Mick said, it's a bounce game in the sunshine, isn't it? I think Everton and Celtic are probably, they'd like to win. They'll probably approach it much the same manner as each other. I think as far as Celtic are concerned, get through this without any injuries. All right, score a few goals if you can, put on a show for the fans, and then they get back. And I think I think it's about getting through this without losing anyone, and then you put the pedal to the metal when they come back in the run up to the next break. Hopefully from a Celtic point of view, they'll increase a lead at the top. Then they go away. I think it's Portugal. They go away for a bit of warm weather training. That's when the hard work will start. I think this one will be a case of as Mick said, shake the right hands and press the right people, get through the games, and I was going to say back up the road, but it's a wee bit longer than that.
Mick, you've not managed to wangle yourself a trip to Portugal as well, have you?
Unfortunately not. No. I'm not sure Mrs. Gannon would be too chuffed for that one. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, heading to the game, I was just going to ask, so what's your itinerary then for the next couple of days? The game's on Sunday in the Accor Stadium. Between now and then, what you up to?
There's a lot on, actually. I think, as I say, it's now gone 8:05 in the morning here, where there's another one of these fan op things about 9:30 with Ange Postecoglou and Frank Lampard. So we'll go up and see that and see what's happening there. There's an Everton open training session we're going to go up along to in the afternoon. There's a Celtic Q&A it's going to be hosted by Scott McDonald. He's going to be the MC with the manager as well. That's the kind of tea time into the early evening. So there's plenty on, really. So there's unfortunately I'm not putting the tail down Bondi Beach just yet.
You can see the waiter just over your shoulder there, Mick, with your pina colada.
It's actually deceptively cool. Actually, it's not that hot. I'm actually going to complain to someone, one of the organisers. It's not quite as hot as I thought it would be. I said, in fact, the other day it was actually pretty freezing. And we said to Ange Postecoglou, says, I think we brought you keep slagging off our Scottish weather. He says, oh, don't, mate, don't go there. I'm like, freezing here, absolutely freezing. Before
I let you go, has there been much? How's the World Cup fever in Australia? Are they buzzing for it?
Honestly, that's one thing that's kind of a wee bit surprised me. Next to zero.
Wow.
Honestly, there's you buy we bought a few newspapers out here to check it out, and the coverage is pretty minimal at the moment. Wow. I've heard it will kind of ramp up over the weekend, but it's a kind of reminder that football here is pretty much down the pecking order. It's for whatever reason. So I think once it kicks up, I think there will be more coverage, but there's not an awful lot at the moment. I think that there's a Cricket World Cup recently when Australia got bounced out, I think, as well, and a few other things. Obviously the Rugby League, Aussie rules and all that kind of stuff. So it does kind of sit below that kind of level of interest, which is kind of strange to everyone, all us who are football daft. No. But that's just the way it is out here. But you see, I think Sydney had about 20,000 at their game at the weekend. There wasn't as many. I thought there were more last night. There wasn't as many home fans, but I think they were a bit miffed at the price of the tickets.
Mm-hmm. Expensive, yeah.
I think it was $80 for a ticket, for the cheapest ticket.
That's a lot.
Which is about 45 quid maybe. It's a bit of money for a ticket for a friendly. So I thought there was maybe that was a bit of disappointment, but yeah. So I think it'll ramp up the next week or so. But no, they know its place, unfortunately. The old soccer.
No. Well, I think that'll do us, guys. Ross, thanks very much for your company, and Mick, all the best down under. We'll let you get back to your hard work. Let you get back to your little sun lounge on that, and make sure you've not lost that. Okay. Should say for everyone watching, you can find us at @record_sport on Twitter and at @dailyrecord_sport on Instagram. Guys, all the best.
All the best, guys.
Take care, man.